Okay, so trigonometry. So we're dealing with right-angled triangles here. So this is only for right-angled triangles, and let's, for example, say that we're dealing with this angle here. Okay, now if we're dealing with this angle, then we have to mark up the sides accordingly. So if this angle is here, this side is directly opposite. Okay, so this is the opposite, and this side is directly next to it. So this is the adjacent, and the hypotenuse, remember, is always the longest side. Hypotenuse is ancient Greek for the word stretched. So we have opposite, adjacent and hypotenuse. So we use trigonometry if we're looking for an angle, or if we've got an angle and we're looking for a side. Okay, and this is for this particular video is just on right angle triangles. Okay, now if you've worked with me in the class, you'll know you need to remember SOHCAHTOA, okay, so sex on hard concrete always hurts the other's arse. This could get me taken off of YouTube, but this is the way that I remember. So sine is opposite over hypotenuse, so that will be this side over this side. Now cosine would be adjacent over hypotenuse, so that would be this side over this side. And tangent, or we call it tan, is opposite over adjacent, so that's this side over this side. Okay, so for example, let's take this out, and we'll take this out, and we'll take this out. Okay, and let's say we need to find what this angle is, and let's say we know that this is 5 centimeters. Okay, and I know that this is 10 centimeters, and I need to find this angle. Okay, so I'm dealing with the opposite here and the adjacent. Okay, I'm not interested in the hypotenuse. I've got the opposite and the adjacent. So now I go down here. Well, this is opposite and hypotenuse. No, that's no good. Adjacent and hypotenuse. No, that's no good. Opposite and adjacent. That's the one. So I need to find the tangent. Okay, so tan equals opposite over adjacent. So tan, and let's say that this angle here is angle X, we're looking for angle X. So tan X equals, now the opposite is 5 over the adjacent, which is 10. Okay, now tan X then would equal, now what you would do with your calculator, I know this will cancel down to a half, because 5 goes into 5 once and 5 goes into 10 twice, and I know that a half is 0.5. okay, excuse me. So this is nice and simple, but if you get, I don't know, 7 over 13, you just divide 7 by 13. Okay, and then you'll get a decimal. You need a decimal. Okay, so now tan X equals, so what I need to do now is I go to my calculator and I've got 0.5. Okay, so tan x equals 0.5. So I press shift tan 0.5, and that equals 26.56 degrees. So I get 26.56 degrees. Okay, so if we're looking for an angle, you're going to need to press shift, okay, because you couldn't have an angle of 0.5. So if you're looking for an angle, then you're going to need to press shift. Okay, if you've got an angle, you don't need to. Okay, so let's just change this. So let's say this isn't 5, and let's say this isn't 10. We'll make it slightly more complicated, say. So let's say that this is 6 centimeters, and this is 15 centimeters. Okay, now I'm dealing with this angle and I'm looking for this angle. So my opposite is 6, and this is the hypotenuse. Remember, it's the longest side. So I'm dealing with opposite and hypotenuse. So I go down here to see which deals with opposite and hypotenuse, and we can see opposite and hypotenuse is sine. So I can say that sine equals opposite over hypotenuse. So sine x equals opposite, which is 6, over the hypotenuse, which is 15. So sine x will equal, so now I have to go 6 divided by 15. Okay, and I get 0.4. Now obviously that angle can't be 0.4 degrees, that's far too small. So I need to find the angle. Remember, looking for an angle, we press shift. So actually that shouldn't be tan x, that should just be x, is that. So x will equal, so I press shift sine 0.4 equals, and that gives me an angle of 23.6 degrees. Okay, so I hope that helps you. So I'll just pause and then I'll do a couple more. Okay, so I'm back with you again, just clean the page up a bit. So again, we're looking for an angle. So what sides have we got? Well, we've not got the opposite, we have got the adjacent, we have got the hypotenuse. So adjacent and hypotenuse. So I go down here, there we go, adjacent and my hypotenuse is cos, so this is cosine. So cos equals adjacent over hypotenuse. So cos x equals, now the adjacent is 7 and the hypotenuse, remember the longest side, is 12. So cos x equals, so I go to my calculator and I go 7 divided by 12 equals, near as damn it, 0.5 It actually goes 0.58333333, but that's close enough for rock and roll. So we know this can't be an angle, so to look for an angle we press shift. So x will equal, so we go to our calculator, we press shift cos 0.58 equals, and we get 54.54 degrees. Okay, so remember, this is the opposite, this is the adjacent, this is the hypotenuse. Remember this, and if you're looking for an angle, press shift. Okay, so let's say that we have an angle. Okay, let's say we have an angle in here. So let's say that this is, let's say this is 60 degrees. We'll keep it nice and simple. And we're looking for this side here. We need to find this side. Okay. So, although we haven't got this side, we're dealing with this side. So we're dealing with opposite and hypotenuse. So again, we go down here, opposite and hypotenuse is sine. So sine equals opposite over hypotenuse. Okay. So we don't know what the opposite is, so we do know everything else. So we do know that sine 60 equals the opposite, which we don't know, that's x, over the hypotenuse, which is 12. Okay, now I want to know this, so this 12 is going to have to come over. Now so this 12 is dividing here, so if I move it over it becomes multiplied. So we get sine 60 multiplied by 12 equals the opposite. Okay, so now the calculator does the work, but we're not looking for an angle, so we don't need to press shift. So what we do is we go to our calculator and we press sine 60, then we close the bracket. Okay, so we have sine 60, close the bracket, times 12, and that will give us 10.39. Okay, so we get 10.39 centimeters. Okay, and that equals the opposite, or x, it doesn't matter which one you call it. Okay, but here when you put this into your calculator, close the bracket. Okay, so when you put this into your calculator, it will come up sine, it will bracket it, and you'll get 60. You need to close that bracket, then multiply by 12, and then hit equals, and that will give you your answer. Okay, I hope that's helped. What's important is, if you're looking for an angle, you press shift. So when you get down to this point here, cos x equals 0.58 or sine equals 3.12, whatever it is, you're going to have to press shift to find the angle. if you have an angle, make sure you close the bracket, okay? Otherwise what it will do is it will find out the sine of 60 multiplied by 12, okay, and you'll get a massive number. So I hope that's helped, and good luck and just practice.